Years after biological warfare killed 99% of men, women have created sustainable societies but have banned any relations with their male counterparts. Only a few chosen men are accepted to help them reproduce, while others are treated like primitive beasts. Rada, a teacher in Two Hills, gets captured in one of the men's camps until Gera saves her. However, Gera is forced to escape his camp and accidentally switches places with Yuli, who is chosen to become a keeper of the seed in Two Hills. Gera enjoys the luxurious life as a keeper but realizes that their movements there are restricted. During this, Yuli finds his strength in the men's camp, making him a threat to their leader Baron. When Rada discovers that Gera is in Two Hills, she gives him time to escape before she reports him. This is her way of returning the favor for saving her life. However, the man discovers that the community is covered by an invisible dome, which prevents him from escaping. Unbeknownst to them, Baron has a secret relationship with Two Hills' mother of the city, Vera, and he reports to her that they have the real Yuli. Because of this, Vera later recovers Yuli's file, proving that Gera is an imposter. Meanwhile, Gera discreetly gets Rada's attention to ask her for help in escaping. Before they can do anything, however, a state of emergency is announced, and the residents are ordered to return to their homes. Officers begin patrolling the area, forcing Gera and Rada to hide. The man's ring communicator blares, warning him that he's wanted by the police, so he throws the device away. Hoping to save the man who protected her, Rada guides Gera, unaware that her treacherous friend Iya has spotted them. The two retreat to the home of Rada's grandmother Zoya, who supports equal rights for men and women. Meanwhile, Baron returns to his camp after spending time with Vera. He asks for the loot that his gang was supposed to collect, but the men have already consumed them upon Yuli's encouragement. The man just smiles, claiming that he's glad that his men finally found the courage to decide for themselves. However, when his right-hand man Kriza asks if he means this, Baron hits him. Yuli takes responsibility for their actions, and when Baron moves to kill the man, his comrades defend him. They recount how Yuli protected them from their enemy gang, so they urge their leader to find a compromise with him. With no choice, Baron speaks to Yuli in private. Since the other man has only been a keeper of the seed until he arrived at the camp, Baron looks down on him. The leader asserts that he has led their community and managed to deal with Two Hills to provide them with electricity. Yuli praises him for this, but highlights the importance of democracy. He insists that decisions made by everyone will give them a brighter future. Baron thinks that providing the others freedom to choose will be chaotic, while the other man just encourages him to try it. With this in mind, Baron encourages Yuli to try other things in camp, like the tea he brewed for him. However, the tea's scent is unpleasant, so the man just thanks Baron and leaves. Pissed, Baron tells his comrades to clean up their meal before leaving. His bodyguard Giant thinks this means they can eat what they left behind, so he sips the tea meant for Yuli, only to get killed since it was poisoned. At Two Hills, Zoya's AI assistant warns her that cops are arriving, so she hides Rada and Gera in her closet, along with her cat who's also not allowed in her residence. Soon, an official arrives, interrogating Zoya about the primitive man who infiltrated their community. When she denies knowing about this, the woman asks her about her granddaughter since Iya reported seeing Rada with Gera. While the two talk, Gera gets an allergic reaction from Zoya's cat, leading to them getting discovered. With no choice, Zoya knocks the official out to protect her granddaughter. During this, Yuli's talk of democracy has inspired the other residents, so they begin to revolt against Baron. Their leader mocks them for following someone from the eco-towns, stressing how life there is bland and boring. Here, they're free to eat and sleep with anyone they want. Still, Yuli declares that they'll vote on what kind of community they want, which the others cheer for. Baron then points out that someone has to protect them from their enemy gang, but people believe that Yuli can do that since he's proven his strength. Driven to a corner, Baron secretly contacts Vera, asking for political advice. She suggests showing force, but the man doesn't think violence is the way. With that in mind, the sneaky woman advises him to give them choices but only within his own rules. Meanwhile, Zoya presents Rada and Gera with an old motorcycle. She notes that the city's dome only gives way to things that come at 88 kilometers per hour, therefore they can drive against it to escape. However, Rada worries about being reduced to 0 social points, which is their currency in Two Hills. This would force her to clean up the world's oceans of plastic until she restores her status, though the women know that those who've been sent there have never returned. Because of this, Zoya urges her granddaughter to escape with Gera. She asks the man to take care of Rada, which he promises to do. With that, she packs them some clothes to send them away. Before they can leave, Yelena, Rada's mother, arrives. She berates Gera for putting her daughter in danger and forbids Rada from going with him. With no choice, Zoya tackles her own daughter to let the other two escape. Putting their faith in the motorcycle, the two brace themselves as they reach the invisible dome. Luckily, their speed breaks the barrier, allowing them to escape, though all their clothes disappear. This makes Gera feel conscious about his body, but Rada, who's not affected by physical attractions, just fetches the clothes that Zoya packed for them. Elsewhere, Baron meets with Kriza privately. He treats him to liquor to appease the man before proposing his plan. He knows that many will vote for Yuli to be their new leader, but he urges his former right-hand man to run for the position as well. Unbeknownst to Kriza, this is Baron's way to remain in power. Soon, the election debate starts with Baron, Yuli, and Kriza as the candidates. Yuli encourages the people to have freedom of choice and treat each other equally, but Baron argues that the man is clueless about politics. He stresses that Yuli has only experienced their lives for 3 days while he has been managing their community for years. The people agree that Baron has helped them a lot, but seeing him take credit for these accomplishments encourages Kriza to reveal something. All of their leader's success was his idea. Kriza stresses that he's the brains behind Baron's operations, and this angers the man, surprised that his former underling would do this. Pissed, Baron punches Kriza, and this leads to a brawl which Yuli easily ends. With the debate over, Gera's grandfather announces that they will start voting and use a porta potty to cast their votes privately. Meanwhile, in the woods, Gera and Rada warm themselves by a campfire, which the man takes as an opportunity to get close to the lady. He coyly points out that she wouldn't have had to escape if she didn't report him too early, but Rada asserts that she didn't. She rants about how his presence confuses her, leading her to lose control over her life. Exhausted, she decides to go to sleep, though she eyes the man suspiciously when he snuggles up to her. Gera excuses that it's to keep themselves warm, and the woman just accepts it. While casting his vote, Kriza notices that there aren't many votes for Baron. Learning this, the man comes up with another way to win. He soon casts his vote, but people notice that he's taking a long time. Suspicious, Yuli opens the voting booth but finds Baron using the toilet inside. Once the vote is counted, Kriza wins. This surprises Yuli, but his previous supporters admit that he doesn't know anything about their community, so he isn't the right person to lead them. At the end of the night, Kriza meets with Baron, still surprised that he won the elections. However, Baron declares that the man will be his puppet so he can continue controlling their camp. Morning comes, and Gera wakes Rada with a squirrel he roasted. This causes the vegan woman to scream and alert nearby scavengers. Gera quickly pulls his companion to run, but the woman isn't used to uneven terrain, causing her to trip and hurt her leg. With no choice, Gera carries Rada, but it doesn't take long before they both trip and knock themselves out. The scavengers bring them back to Baron's camp, who's happy to see the beautiful Rada. Scared, Gera weakly attempts to defend his companions, so the former leader yells at him, recounting how the man hit him to let Rada escape days ago. Gera's grandfather reminds Baron that he's not in charge anymore, so he can't just take any woman he wants. This triggers a debate amongst the lonely men who were also interested in Rada, so Kriza uses his new position to declare a tournament. Still, he thinks Gera should be punished since he hit Baron when he was still their leader. Gera corrects them that technically it was Giant who hit Baron after he evaded the bodyguard's attack. Since he's dead already, Kriza decides that the issue is resolved. Later, the people witness Yuli lift a bathtub full of water and splash himself with it to clean up. This reminds everyone of his strength and how he'd most likely win any tournament. Meanwhile, Zoya and Yelena are on trial for their involvement with Gera and Rada. The judge sentences Zoya to 10 days in prison. Rada will have her social points nullified, and Yelena is terminated from her government position for not guiding her daughter well. At the camp, the few women who chose to join the men eye Rada with scrutiny, making her feel uncomfortable. She joins Gera and Yuli for a meal, wondering why the latter chose to stay in the camp. Yuli shares how awesome it is to be free, but when the meal is served, Rada is horrified by the fish's head. Just then, some of the men raise how the tournament will be unfair given Yuli's strength, so they suggest competing for Rada through card games. Scared for his companion, Gera asserts that he brought the woman to their camp, so he should keep her as his wife. Since there are no such relationships within the eco-towns, Rada is confused by what they're fighting about. Still, the woman doesn't want things to be decided for her, so she lectures the men on how they can't simply treat their female members like objects. She encourages the other ladies in the group to speak, so one awkwardly admits that she doesn't like their treatment there. Supporting this, Yuli highlights how men and women lived equally long ago, and Gera recounts how the ladies of Two Hills treated him well. Baron orders Kriza to put an end to this discussion, so the man asserts his position and tells the woman to be quiet. To his surprise, Baron declares that he agrees with Rada, asserting that they must evolve as a community. This makes the others reconsider, leaving Kriza with no choice but to do so as well. Later, Gera and Yuli compliment the woman's courage for standing up for herself, but Rada is unsatisfied given the awful conditions of women there. Because of this, she's determined to leave the camp. She asks Gera's grandfather to smuggle her back into Two Hills, but he reveals that he won't be sending moonshine to the eco-town until 2 weeks later. This frustrates the lady as she can't handle living in such conditions for that long. Gera insists that she should appreciate her new freedom, so he encourages her to take a deep breath of their fresh air. Instead, Rada ends up inhaling an insect, pissing her off. Blaming him for her predicament, Rada orders Gera to find her a place to stay where she can be alone until she can return to Two Hills. She then storms off with Yuli running after her. Alone, Gera asks his father why he lied to Rada about the moonshine shipment, knowing that he's scheduled to deliver another batch in 3 days. The older man admits that he did this to give his grandson a chance to impress the woman he likes. Meanwhile, Kriza confronts Baron about setting him up and humiliating him earlier. To explain, the man gives him a book of laws he'd written for their community where a line requires the current leader to transfer his authority to his predecessor after a week. The simple-minded Kriza accepts this law since he won't have to carry that much responsibility for long. After he leaves, Baron contacts Vera, who's waiting for news about Rada and Gera. However, the man spots the pretty woman outside, so he lies that he hasn't found them yet. Outside, Gera asks Yuli why he likes their camp, so he compliments their freedom, the nature around them, and their food. Gera then asks him to convince Rada to appreciate them too, so she'd stay. With that, Yuli goes to Rada's makeshift room, which the woman doesn't seem to like. He notes that she's idealizing Two Hills when everything they do is restricted there. Rada points out that they're safe there with many luxuries like medicine and equipment. This reminds Yuli of the amenities he hasn't enjoyed since arriving at the camp, making him miss the eco-towns. Having a common goal now, the two decide to return to Two Hills together. Rada worries that she'd be treated like a criminal there, so Yuli promises to defend her. Just then, Kriza gathers the community for an announcement. During this, Gera asks about Yuli's talk with Rada, and the man lies that he's convinced her to stay. Kriza declares that he has written laws that they will follow as a democratic society. Amongst the laws are equal rights for men and women and a violence-free society. Soon enough, people get tired of listening to the laws, so Kriza has their announcer jump to the final paragraph. This states that everyone who agrees to his rules will be awarded food and moonshine. This excites everyone, so they all mark the agreement with their thumbprint without hearing the rest of the laws. While everyone does this, the announcer continues reading on his own, leading him to discover the loophole Baron placed there to return to power. Before he can read it aloud, Baron takes the book from his hands and dismisses him. At night, Yuli goes to Rada's room all packed for their journey. However, he warns her to wait since everyone is still having their celebratory drinks. When this confuses Rada, he gives her a taste of moonshine. Unbeknownst to them, Gera's grandfather lends his grandson a suit to impress Rada. He also packs a nice dinner and wine for the lady before heading to her room. While waiting for everyone to sleep, Yuli and Rada get bored and drunk. The man then tells his companion that he has tried the ancient method of reproduction, which they were told was forbidden. However, he insists that it's wonderful, so he encourages a tipsy Rada to try it with him. Realizing what he means, Rada becomes suspicious if he really wants to return to Two Hills. She rejects him, but Yuli asserts that he's not used to hearing no for an answer. By the time Gera arrives, he finds the man sobbing as Rada has kicked him where he keeps his seed. Confused, he leaves the man and finds Rada by a campfire outside. Finally, she asks why everyone there wants to mate with her. A guilty Gera tries to excuse that he doesn't unless she also wants it. Instead, he insists that he just wants to protect her. With that, he gives her his jacket to keep her warm. Meanwhile, Baron and Kriza have dinner together, with the latter wanting to give up his authority already since he's exhausted. Suddenly, a drunk and pissed Yuli arrives, asserting that he should be in charge. Baron grabs a knife to strike the man, but Yuli slaps it off, causing it to be embedded into a wall. This breaks Baron's wrist, so he backs away as the crazed man asserts his authority and demands all the women to be his wives, including Rada. Kriza tries to recover the knife to fight the man, but this leads him to getting thrown out the the window. Elsewhere, Gera tries to appease Rada with the dinner and wine he prepared, but the woman refuses to drink anymore since she doesn't like the feeling of getting drunk. Still, she admits that the cooked chicken looks better than the squirrel he roasted earlier. Having had nothing to eat since leaving Two Hill, she takes a bite and is amazed at how the meat tastes. Suddenly inspired to try things out, Rada wonders about intimacy and chooses Gera as her partner. Before anything can happen, however, Yelena appears with a couple of cops. She declares that her daughter and Gera can return to Two Hills without punishment since she's made an agreement with Vera.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.